the ways that people behave are usually an indication of what they're protecting themselves from. So as we get to know him, people who have read the book say that he's the person they come to love most in the book, even though they hated him at the beginning. So, I think that it shows that once we see sort of the underlying trauma and tragedy that he's dealing with, he becomes so likable and so relatable, and so you see his humanity and you just want to hug him. A lot of therapy is about holding up the mirror and helping people to see something in the reflection that they're not already seeing. And for her, it was this way that she kept shooting herself in the foot over and over and ending up in the same place, thinking that the problem was, men are terrible. And it's like, no, men are not terrible. You keep choosing people who are going to disappoint you. You keep choosing a certain kind of guy. And every time a good guy comes into your life, you reject him. And, I think what's interesting about her story is that when people come in for therapy, I'm looking at not just why are they there, but I want to know why now. Why this week, this month did you call me, even though you've been clinically depressed for decades, right? And I think the reason that I'm looking for that is because I'm not only looking for what's not working, but I want to scan for strengths. I want to know, what is their readiness? Something made them call today. That is a strength, right? Something made them come in now. So they're ready for something. And in this woman's case, she really was ready. So you think, well, what could happen given, how many decades of regret and mistakes are behind her? But a lot happens in that year. A surprising amount of change happens in that year because she was ready. We grow in connection with others. It's really hard for us to see ourselves because we don't have the vantage point of living outside of our lives. It's really easy to see something about someone else, but it's harder to see something when it's so close to you. And so I think that the questions that all of these people were asking about, how do I love and be loved, and how do I deal with regret, and how do I manage my pain and also move forward? How are some of my patterns getting in my way more than any external circumstance might be in my life? Questions about meaning, fulfillment, the limited time that we have here. I think these are universal existential questions that all of us struggle with. And when you see your patients grappling with them, you can't help but be forced to ask them yourself, to really examine them yourself in your own life. And I think the question for me was, what would be the value of the book? That if it's a book, who's going to read it and why? And for me, I felt like there was almost a mission in writing this book, that I had such a passion about opening up these conversations, taking away the stigma, really showing what people's lives are like. I just felt it was so compelling, and that I wanted to put that out there. So I think that it's important to know the why of why you're writing what you're writing. That it's not just like, this is entertaining, but what's behind that? Is there something bigger? And I think that you have to have the something bigger to know that it's something that really can be a book.